Hey everybody, we've got something that's personally special to me today. Welcome to Superhuman Customs. I'm Stephen Human. This is the channel where we just customize action figures. We turn figures into different characters and do all kinds of crazy stuff with extra things that I have. We just have fun, we learn some new things. Some things turn out great, some don't, doesn't matter. Well, today I want to do something that's, again, personally special to me. Now, when I was a teenager, I loved Kon-El, so Connor Kent, Superboy. And I still love him to this day, but you know, with Jonathan Kent, kind of the progression of Superman has changed a little bit. I've always loved to have a Superman that you could be different with, that you didn't know the end. Whereas with Superman, you know he's not gonna die and stay dead, or but with another character that was Superman, you could get away with things. And so I developed in my brain a version of Connor that was older and that had become Superman, and they had a suit, or at least with the S, that was similar to the Eradicator, like this. And so what we're gonna do today is we're going to make that Superman, a version of Connor Kent as Superman, and we're gonna have a little bit of fun. We're gonna experiment with the arms, because with this head, this is a Connor Kent head, but the arms are a bit too big for this head, and it just looks out of proportion. So we're gonna experiment, we're gonna remove some arms and play around with different figures and see what works. But we're gonna turn this into my personal Connor Kent as an adult, as Superman. So let's go. First things first, like I mentioned, these arms and the shoulders they look too big for this head. So I had this Animal Man that I bought for like $5 earlier this year and had no idea what I was gonna do with him. He's just been on display. I like Animal Man, but I really think that I want this guy to be something special because he's one of my own. So I'm gonna remove these arms and put them on here because it just tones down his shoulders a little bit, makes him look a little bit more normal and not quite so gigantic like he was. The problem is that these arms are too big for these sockets. So I don't really want to have an Animal Man with no arms, but for now, that's probably what I'm gonna have to do, and I have to figure something out. So that's how we're gonna move forward to make this guy my version of an older Connor Kent. Now, for those of you who saw my Eradicator custom from like almost 2 years ago, or I guess it was maybe last year anyway, what I did is I filled in these gaps with fabric paint. So I'm just gonna take a little bit of red fabric paint is all, get it in the gaps, and I'm gonna wipe it with my finger, smooth it out, and that's it. And now there's no gaps anymore. It's just that simple. Take a couple hours to dry, not even that, but that makes it so that there's no gap anymore. Nice and simple. So I've got this piece of plastic here, and this version of Superman in my brain has a belt. So I'm going to just cut this all the way along and keep it as uniform as humanly possible. And I'll do 2 stripes just to make sure that I've got enough. And this will be his belt. We'll just glue it in place and call it good. Before I call it a night, I want to paint the belt. I'm really excited about this guy. You know, there's something about when you're able to take a creation of your own and bring it to life. You know, something that you were excited about at one point when you were young or whatever. It's a lot of fun. So if you guys have characters like this, you know, that don't have any meaning to anyone else because they never existed, go after it, make them. Because it is so cool the things you can do to make these guys stand out. And probably while I got the red, I'll probably end up doing the boots as well. This is a good moment. And this is just the base coat, the base color. I'll do this red, and then I'll lighten it up with my model air red and really make them stand out. And then we'll move into the blue on everything else. But man, just look at that. It's already starting to change. While the red is drying, I'm gonna go over the arms and such with the blue, so we can start to see how this guy comes together. This should move pretty fast. So just get in all the cracks and crannies, move things around, bend the arms. You'll be able to get in everywhere pretty easily. And while I've still got a little bit of blue paint out here, I'll just start on the body. You know, you can just move from one thing to the next pretty easily when you got the paint out, especially on something like this where you know it's just gonna be a lot of paint coverage. But it's great because you're gonna start to see them come together, and that's the funnest part, is when the change really starts to become apparent. And now let's get the yellow here in the middle on the belt. This is definitely going to require a couple of coats because of just how I found yellow to be a very thin paint, just in general. So we'll get it on like that, and then go through and add the details on a second coat. Now we're going to get up around the neck area. I took the head off. What we're going to do here is I'm going to put a collar on him. Now I'm just going to take some flesh tone, and I'm going to hit the neck. And then after that, we will go through with a bit of red fabric paint to add a layer of red, like a collar here. Just like in the new 52. Like we did with that figure. If you guys have seen that video from like 2 years ago. I did that and it added a really nice collar that stands out. The flesh tone will require 2 coats. So just lay it on. Don't try and lay it on too thick. But it'll work. So he's looking good. It's not every day you get to make a figure that you designed when you were a teenager. And I'm so glad I thought of this because this is personal for me. This is something that I thought of when I was like 17 or 18 and I drew pictures of, and now I've got him. I've got a Connor Kent who is Superman using an actual Connor Kent head. That's awesome. I was really happy when that Connor Kent came out with 3 different heads because I knew I could use them all for different things. And this is the first one. Thank you all for watching. I always appreciate your comments. Tell me if I'm doing something wrong or if I could improve, because I love to learn new tips on how to make these figures better. Check out StephenHuman.com for all of my novels. I'm also on Audible. And check out Quimbleys.com for all your board game needs, especially if you like some of the best games ever created, like Cthulhu Wars, Orcs Must Die, that sort of stuff. Thank you again. See you next week.